remember sitting there on the couch like,
Oh, so you were surprised too. You did not know she was following.
I was shocked as shit.
Wow. See, that's a whole nother thing we
I
got to
was
talk
like,
about.
okay. And I'm looking at myself like, you're divorcing me? Like, what the hell?
Hello, world. I am Jason Turner along with my man.
Ulysses Glenn Jr., also known as Slugger.
And together we are the 811 crew. We are super excited. This is our Virgin podcast. That's not to say we're virgins. But there's our Virgin podcast, and we are very excited. We felt like when we were talking about this, both Ulysses and I have a lot to say, a lot to share. We have
a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we're both 50 plus, single, straight, fathers, opinionated, global citizens. Oh, nice looking. I think
we've aged well.
Okay, I think so
too. For somebody in their 50s, I think we've aged well.
We'll talk about when that gray patch got on your beard, but over time. Anyway, you didn't even dye that. Like, that's natural.
That's not. I have gray all through my beard.
Okay, very good. Anyway,
my mom has no gray hair.
Well, good. And so you see, you'll get a flavor for kind of how we go. We are like best friends. We've been friends for 30 plus years. Yes. But we are absolutely different in our perspectives, and you are going to learn a lot about that.
Yes, we are. We have different views. Our views are different, but they're the same. We just see things half full, half empty.
Well, number one, I'm from Washington, D.C., and he is from
Cleveland, Seatown.
Bam.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But actually, Jason's really not from D.C. He's lived all over.
Oh, wow. See, that's not true. All right. That's true. You're going to find out that I was born in Taiwan. I have made in Taiwan on my body. It's true. I was born in Taiwan. That's
really?
I was. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I would say so you have like a...
I could run for president. Now, stop. I'm just letting you know I could run for president because I was born on an American naval base. And you can Google it. If you were born on an American naval base, that counts as American soil.
So you're like Blasian?
No, I'm like Barack Obama.
No, you're actually American citizen.
I am. Watch it now. Okay, we ain't gonna talk about that. See, that's funny because we're gonna talk about politics on this show. And
I'm an Obama fan.
Right.
I'm a full Obama fan.
Well, you're from Ohio too, so you could also be a Trump fan. Well, anyway, you have friends who are Trump fans.
Yeah, I have very good friends who are Trump fans.
And that's a big difference between people from Ohio and people from D.C. I mean, not a lot of people in D.C., you would admit, have a bunch of Trump friends. I mean, this is a fairly blue area here in D.C.
I have several. I have several Trump fans. I'm friends. I listen to their opinions. Sometimes I mute them on social media, things like that. But being from Ohio, I'm actually from Twinsburg, Ohio, and I think that even worked with part of my growing up.
Now, Twinsburg, that's different from Cleveland, because when I think of Cleveland, I'm thinking urban, I'm thinking of that's a blue county. Twinsburg, that's not blue.
No.
Okay.
Where I live might have a little blue, but it's mostly red. Like, you see Trump signs. Like, when I gave my mom an Obama sign, the first one they took.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like that doesn't...
So we're not even going to... There's definitely no Black Lives Matter signs then. I mean...
No, they did have one in Twinsburg because my nephew attended...
No, they have the All Lives Matter thing.
Well, that went on. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that.
Well,
we're gonna leave my Twinsburg, Cleveland thing alone.
We'll get back to that.
Let's just get back so people know who we are.
Exactly.
Who we are. We're, like I said, our birthdays are... The name of the show is 811 because the days are our birthdays. One of us here is older than the other. We won't mention who the older person is.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm older.
Jason's older.
I'm wiser, but Ulysses knows everything.
Right.
We'll talk about that. In fact, a lot of this show is so Ulysses can show that he knows everything. I'll be able to ask the questions, and we will prove that Ulysses knows everything except what he doesn't know.
The things I don't know, I don't talk about. I usually will be quiet. I usually will not say anything like, "Oh, okay." But if I talk about
you're saying you. Hold on a second. Wait. You're saying you usually don't say anything?
If it's something I don't know about, I'll actually listen.
But you know everything.
No. But the things I do, I'm an expert. Like, I'll tell you something. I don't know a lot about Bitcoin. I have no idea because it doesn't make sense in my mind of how I know money works. So therefore, I never say anything good or bad about it. So I listen to people who have done it and do all these things, and I do want to understand Bitcoin at some point.
And what are you talking about right now?
I don't understand Bitcoin. I just said I
yeah, see how that is, right? You're just a walking contradiction, but you're my boy.
I don't understand it.
But you know what? Can I just tell you right now a little bit about? Can I just talk about Washington D.C.?
Sure.
Now I let him talk more about Cleveland because this is Washington D.C. But I love being from the chocolate city, but one of the things that we're going to talk about is that the city is not so chocolate, anymore. When I was growing up, it was definitely a chocolate city. Not so much anymore. Would you say it's chocolate? Would you say it's swirl? Would you say it's vanilla? What do you think it is from the outside?
I moved here in '96, so there were areas that have definitely changed. I still see, I think the areas have changed. I think we've gotten older, so we're not in the areas where the concentration of the, you DC people like go-go music and all that stuff will be hanging out. Right. So those places aren't there. And the world's changed, so people have more integrated. The new generations of people are not separated like that. So
and I can see it too. So, one of the things, we do a lot of things together. Right. Ulysses and I are in a bike crew.
Right.
And so one of the things that I've really seen is the big changes in DC is just biking around DC. Because kind of when you're in a car, you're going by, you're just zooming by, you might not even realize it. Biking has really shown me just how rapidly the city is changing.
Yeah.
And the term, people use is gentrification, the whitening, richening, et cetera.
It's called urban removal.
Urban removal, urban renewal, depending on.
Urban removal.
That is true, but now, but I can tell you what, have you ever heard this term? These are the terms I use in a gentrifying city. You have the legacy community. Those are the people like the chocolate city that have been there, like my parents, family, et cetera. I consider myself part of the legacy community. And you have the new community. And these are folks that have moved in, I don't know, you pretty much like, in 3 more years, we're going to officially give you your Washingtonian card.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You did that Baltimore stint. That we had.
I worked here. I always worked in D.C.
That's true.
Yeah, I always worked in D.C.
But Baltimore, that takes a lot out of your program. That takes a lot off your application. Okay?
Baltimore is actually like Cleveland. It's literally like Cleveland.
Wow.
And that's why it's so different than D.C. So that 45 minutes, those 38 miles are completely different. The people are different.
Night and day.
I remember when I moved there. It was I moved there, I was married. The ex-wife, her job was there, so I moved there and I did the commute back and forth. It was, it's a good place. Baltimore's a good place to raise a family. My son, the thing about Baltimore is where you go to school, where you went to high school, not where you went to college.
Yeah.
I think here in D.C. is where you went to college.
Yeah, but definitely there's no place like Baltimore for the high school. Like everything is on your high school.
High school. But I went to University of Cincinnati. We both went to state schools. You went to UVA. So we do have a lot of similarities. Same fraternity. You pledged freshman year, I played junior year.
All right, now you got to let me talk. Ask a question. Jay, what do you think?
So let me ask you this. So what do you think is so much different between DC in the mid-'90s versus DC now?
You know what? That's a great question. You were talking about, being from Cleveland, Cincinnati area. You mentioned it. I'm from DC, but I went to the University of Virginia. Down in Charlottesville, a good old primarily white institution. When you'll hear, we talk about PWI, that's primary white institution, versus HBCU, historically black college and university. We're gonna have to talk about that one day too, kind of the differences between PWI, but not down. But I'm really curious about that. Like now, I would definitely be at HBCU, but I digress. Just for a little.
No, I still was no.
Okay, yeah, I got it. There's a real deep, Morehouse love in there, or kind of like some Howard love in there that I have, and I definitely like some North Carolina A&T, and I definitely like some Florida A&M. So I got some real HBCU love.
I have love for it. Now, I have love for it, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Now, where I got my HBCU love was from my former wife, Stacy. She went to my former wife went to Howard University, and before.
She went to Hampton first.
She went to Hampton first, and then she transferred to Howard. But it was really through her experience that I really was like, what's really this HBCU thing about? And that's really through her line sisters, experiencing Howard through her eyes and her friends' eyes. I really developed a real, really appreciation for HBCUs. Now, I've definitely been divorced now for just about 10 years last month. So it's been really crazy that I can't believe I've been divorced that long. But in the 20 years, basically, 25 years that I've been back in D.C., it's no doubt that the city has changed from the mid-late 90s, as you said, when I moved back home, to where it is now in 2022. It's like night and day.
It's interesting. The good thing is that you mention your ex-wife's name. I don't mention mine.
Oh,
that's a nice thing. That's really good. And so I have to give you props for
yeah,
that.
you know.
We don't mention her name.
At least till I get home and look at my phone and have a text like, why are you mentioning my name on the radio?
I don't, but the person that I had a child with, who I was married to for 17 years, she went to Yale. And she went to Yale. And from living here, like you, I have kind of got a bigger perspective from other HBCUs. When I was in college, we visited, traveled, so you got to see them that way. But you know, I don't know. Would you, if you were to do it again, would you still go to UVA?
I definitely. I mean, I loved. You know, that's a great point. I just talked this mess now about being at HBCU, but it would be impossible knowing what I know about UVA and when I went to school. And we'll talk about that too. I mean, there's so many things that we want to talk to you about that we talk about all the time, right? And one of those is just how the black community, how the college experience changed. When we were in college, the Cosby Show and A Different World were on, like school days, you know, about fraternity and sororities. That was happening while we were in school, right?
Well, no, some of us weren't in school when school days came.
Okay, that's true. Maybe you were trying to go. You were at your junior prom. You were in the Burger King drive-thru. That's where you were, right?
I was at prom with that kid, but I remember seeing the movie before I went to college, so I remember that was my whole basis. But you mentioned Cosby Show, and I remember when that show came on, was one of the first shows that I could identify with somebody who was like me. And that was interesting for me. So that whole
That's
lifestyle,
amazing, because there was nothing about the Cosby Show that I thought was like me, except they were black folk.
Everything. Theo, his birthday's around the same time. We kind of dressed alike, everything. So yeah. So it was like Theo's birthday is August. I mean, Malcolm Jamal Warner's birthday is August something. Ours is August.
You talking about Malcolm Jamal Warner? You talking about Theo? Okay,
the person you realize that his birthday is August 14th.
Okay,
which is our birthday is August 11th.
That's amazing.
And which is why we call the show 811, because it's our birthday. And as people will see that Jason and I, even though our birthdays are the same day, we do have, and as I say, sometimes it's like talking to myself, but we have a lot of differentials as well.
Yeah.
We have a lot of differentials, but even our differentials tend to come back to the same.
Absolutely.
They're not completely odd.
They do come back together. I think that's a great point. I mean, one of the things that is, that we have in common besides things is the fact that we said that we're both divorced.
Yeah.
And there's many different stages in life. I mean, when I got married, I really believed that I was going to be married forever. You probably did too, et cetera. We really, and we both believe in marriage. Yes. And yet the divorce is actually what precipitated a lot of this change that we're talking about, these new things and things that we've experienced. And that led to the 811 crew.
Well, actually, to be honest, even after we got divorced, our relationship got stronger because we knew each other. First of all, we've known each other since 1991. I was in college, you were working. So we all, to be honest, all four of us knew each other, which meant our ex-wives. So
our kids.
To even go back, so our ex-wives and Jason all worked together. Yeah. My ex-wife, whose name we won't say, we're in the same new hire class.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and I was in undergrad. I was a cool undergrad kid.
And we all started Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati, which that's the only thing that goes on in Cincinnati. So, but can I just tell you that? Can I just say this before we move on to too much even there? I want to get back to you started mentioning about the 811 crew and the fact that yes, it's 811 because we both share the birthday of August 11th. But as we were thinking about the title of it, we also looked at the meaning of 811. Like looked up 811, and so when you take the numbers 8 and 1, 1 stands for self-empowerment, new beginnings. It also stands for solitude, strength, and remembering your inner strength. And then when you take the number 8, the 8, besides being like the infinity sign if you turn it aside, it's about perseverance, tenacity, And kind of, you know, when you Google it, it says you might have a feeling like giving up, but the 8 continues to keep going. So really what we're talking about is, you know, with I feel like with the 811 crew, at least with me, I feel like the number talks about our tenacity, change, how we're persevering against all odds of life. We've been divorced, but we're going to talk, but we're moving forward. We're making changes. We know you are too, and we want to share and talk about those things.
And, well, that's definitely, it's funny when you read, I read this book about black sun signs, and when you read about Leo, so August is Leo's, and when you read about Leo's, I remember when I first read it, I was like 25, 26, and they talked about Leo children, and I felt I was nothing like that. I don't know, this is nothing like my life. I read it again at 50, and I was like, wow, my parents actually did raise me that way. And those dates, were you born in the morning or in the evening?
I was born in the evening, but can I just say this? Don't go to, because that, I feel like that's a great other topic on talking about on the Leo piece. She said wrap it up. So when we ate up, so I would say that, like, so yeah, yes, we had the 811 crew. And one of the things that, so as we start off these first things, we want you all to really get to know us and et cetera. So we're going to, the first few episodes, we're really going to talk about some of the bigger bucket items here. So the first thing, you know, we're going to be all, but no matter what, we're going to be all about change. We're going to be about perseverance. We're going to be trying to figure out how you can be your best self. We're going to be challenging you and challenging ourselves really to focus on who we are and not who you aren't. You know how you have that feeling at 50, you're like, man, did I do this? Did we make it? We're going to be in this crew about how we get there, how we better ourselves, and the insecurities and strengths that go along with that.
What other thing with letting people know who we are, we should let people know what we do. So I work for the government. I do budget, finance, stuff for the government type work. Jason and I have done work together. You do?
Yeah, I'm self-employed. I've been self-employed for the better part of 10 years. I'm an innovation consultant. I help companies place new products in the information technology in the environmental space. I love tech, and I love trying to figure out how to reduce greenhouse gases. You'll hear more about that. So yeah, so we'll come back to you, and we'll come back here in a few minutes. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to get into a little bit more about divorce and some more of the things we're going to talk about on the 811 crew. So we are very blessed to have a team of awesome producers around us to help us produce the 811 Crew show, and one of those fantastic producers is Carmen. Carmen is Carmen. She's going to bring a lot of really cool things to the show. Number one is she's going to help us understand what you guys are thinking. Every episode, we're going to end with a poll question. We're going to put that on our social media. Carmen handles all of our social media, et cetera. So we will be really looking forward to hearing what you viewers think about what we're talking about. So what's our poll question for this first episode, Ulysses?
Our poll question for this first episode is, should you stay married for the children or not? It's a yes or no question. And this is something that people go through all the time. You know, should we stay for the kids or should we leave?
I think yes.
So I think people should stay for the kids. If you're going to stay, you should stay till they're 18.
Interesting. I wonder what y'all think. Let us know. Check in, and let's get this thing going. Join us, getting involved in the conversation.
All right, so welcome back. We've let you guys know about us. One of the things is that we're divorced dads here living in the city. Jason, you've been divorced, what, 10 years?
Divorced 10 years last week, bruh.
I will be happily divorced 7 years, I think it's June 21st.
Did you think you'd be single for 7 years? I didn't think I would be. I don't know what I thought, but I didn't think I'd be single for 10 years.
I never thought I was going to be divorced.
Me neither.
So I didn't think I was going to be divorced. As far as getting married again.
Now, wait a minute. How long into, just a real question, we don't have to go all into, but just quick thing. How long was it before you realized this ain't going to work? I mean, for real, for real.
I got married July 11th of 98. I think I knew July 13th.
Wow.
Of 1998. I was like, huh. And I remember, this is actually interesting. I remember the day, a couple days before, we were at my parents' house because we got married. Unlike most normal marriages, we got married in Cleveland. My family is the one who paid for the whole wedding and did everything.
Right.
So we were at my mother's house, my parents' house. I'm sorry, because they were still married. They were at my parents' house, and we kind of got into an argument. And you ever have someone say things they shouldn't say in front of your parents? And I remember my mother saying to me, "You don't have to do this."
Oh, wow.
This is 2 days before I got married. And
what did she see? What did she ever tell you what it was that she saw?
She never said what she saw.
Or what she heard or something.
She didn't like, and she said, "You don't." She pulled me aside, and she said, "You know, you don't have to do this."
Was that the first time that she ever said anything that was not positive about it?
Very first time.
So she went from, "Oh, she's wonderful," to damning, like, "Yo, you can get out of this."
And I remember, like, yeah, I'm ignoring her.
Were you like, "Now you tell me"?
I was like, well, and plus, me being me, I was like, I've already made this decision. We're here, and I knew the argument was wrong, and there's things I never would say. It's just like, no, there's things, if I'm friends with someone and I actually like you, there's things I'll never say, because I would never want to ruin our friendship, and once you say a word, you can't call it back.
Right, so you weren't going to say right away, you know it was only a weekend, and babe,
so...
Now, see, what difference with me now, I thought that, I ain't going to lie, man, for real, I truly believed, until my ex said, "Jason, I want to be separated and divorced from you." Until that point, which I was shocked. Like, I did not see it coming. I mean, we had our challenges, et cetera, but, you know, I did not see it coming. And all the way through, I truly believed all the way till the end. Even after we were trying to work it out, I really believed that somehow we were going to find a way to work it out. I could have been kind of deluding myself, whatever, but, you know, I really did believe, when I said I do, I really believed that it was going to be forever.
I found out I was getting divorced. This is crazy. So we went to the vineyard, the normal black people week for the vineyard. Went to the vineyard, and what happened, I was living here, and she had moved to Connecticut for her job. So I was commuting back and forth. I had like this stupid little nasty apartment I stayed for a couple days a week, and then I would go to Connecticut. So one weekend I didn't feel well. I was just tired from the vineyard, work, all this. I was laying on the couch, and she called me on the phone and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that I filed for divorce." So I wasn't feeling well, and I remember sitting there on the couch like,
Oh, so you were surprised too? You did not know she was filing for divorce?
I was shocked as shit.
Wow. See, that's a whole nother thing
so
we got to talk about.
So I was like, okay. And I'm looking at myself like, you're divorcing me? Like, what the hell? Like,
see, now that is, and you know what, and that is so crazy. So as close friends as we are, I had no idea that both of us were surprised that our girl, there's a pattern. Okay. There's a pattern there. I bet you we're not the only ones that happened to.
Right. So I was like, okay. So I kind of like, let me get off the phone. So I got off the phone and got myself mentally together. And I didn't feel well. I was actually sick. So
got sicker.
That next weekend, I said, let me make sure I go to Connecticut. You know, because we kept talking during the week, and I said, you know, it was in September, and I said, how about let's go through the holidays. Let's see, you know, we have a child, let's go through the holidays, blah, blah, blah.
You wanted to bring out your Santa Claus thing, your margarita bill maker.
Plus I wanted
First of all, y'all gonna see some of the things. Ulysses, just quick aside, he is the 800 number, buy some shit off
gadget,
the internet that
Amazon,
you've ever seen. We'll bring in some of those. Some of those things will appear.
I have every gadget.
Like definitely, I really want to start off with a margarita maker. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So I go there, I'm like, you know, let's try to wait until after the holidays. You know, maybe we can work some things out, yada, yada, yada. So in my mind, we're working things out during these 3 months. What happened, so we had Christmas, great Christmas, we exchanged gifts, everything. What happened the day before, Christmas Eve, my mother's fiance had died. So he died, and so I hadn't even told my parents any of the stuff was going on. So now I'm looking like, well, it's New Year's Eve is about to come up, and I was like, and I could see right after Christmas, she had started acting ugly.
Holidays are so tough.
So I was like, well, let me go visit my mom. She's not doing well. So I went for New Year's to visit my mom, and actually, I'm glad because one of my friends from college, he's in Omega, he has a yearly New Year's Eve party. Went to his party, had never been home for New Year's in 20 years. Went to his party, he died the next year. And it, so I'm glad I did that. So the divorce thing, yes, we both were the same as far as that.
You know what, I will tell you, mine wasn't, quickly on that, because literally when you were sharing, I really did not realize that it was a surprise for you too. I think the one difference for me was I really, to your, I didn't believe that it was going to end. I believed that she was serious, but I believed that we were going to figure out a way to work it out. For the next 6 months, the crazy on my side of the story, and we'll have a whole nother discussion about this, but I decided that I was going to fix it. I was I'm going to try to fix this. I'm going to save this. And so I went away to France. My brother got married, south of France. I went away to France to his wedding. It was dope. I was on the Mediterranean yo, this is fat down. I'm like, Jay, you are messing up, yo. I will honestly say I asked myself, Jay, you have not done all you can do. What could you do when you get back home? What are some things you could do right now that would just change the game? And I really, on the way back home, I wrote up a list of things that I knew that I wasn't going to say shit about it. I wasn't going to be like, oh, babe, check it out. I'm going to do all these things, make these prognostications. I didn't do it. And it involved the kids, too. But the bottom line is that I really gave it the college try. But, we went away in November. Remember, it's 11/11/11. It was November 11th, 2011. We went on our last trip to Playa del Carmen to a friend of ours' wedding. While we were down there, I said to her, I was like, you know what? I feel like I've done everything possible to try to save this, and you ain't with it. I said, so when we get back home to D.C., if you give me the paperwork, I'll sign it.
Wow.
Sure enough, we got on the plane, got back home. I went to work that day. The next day, got back home from work, walked in from the garage through the kitchen, and the manila envelope was sitting on the kitchen island. God. She was waiting for me to come in. I mean, and it was there. I took one look at her. I opened it up.
Yeah, I remember.
And signed and executed it, and that was it. But, it is, we'll talk about it, but I've more than earned my share of it. So, anyway, we all have some good stories. Carmen, there's got to be some other people that are interested in divorce, how it happened, whatever. You got some thoughts on this?
We need to also discuss, we need to find out how people feel about introducing your kids to people.
Oh, yeah, kids and divorce, that's a whole different situation. I know it might have been, I got some serious stories with it. I don't know how you did it.
Mine, I will tell you. So what happened that following year, we went to the Vineyard. So I went to the Vineyard as a single guy, single dude, and I stayed with the same people because I kept the friends. So I went with the people that we normally went.
You said, I kept the friends. They were all your friends in the beginning.
They were my friends in the beginning. She's a weirdo. So
who shall remain nameless?
Whose names remain nameless. So what happened, I didn't go there. I was actually kind of reluctant because I was going as a single dad. And I was like, well, what do I do? I took my cousin with me and my son. And I realized one of the things, it was like going to the Vineyard as a single dad during the hot 2 to 3 weeks of black people there. I think every single black man should go there. It is, and I remember, it was like, you're like, whoa, I remember we had a party.
Now, your kid was Trey with you, or he wasn't with you? Me. Okay, now I got to talk, now see.
He was with, but he didn't like it.
Okay.
Like you could clearly see.
Now see, I went a different strategy. I went up there after I got divorced, I went up there one time for 2 weeks. And I went up there one time the first week. My mom and my aunt were there, my kids and everything were there, totally just did the whole family thing, period. And then our boy Neil came up the next week, and then the next week was just like
debauchery.
Was just kicking
right.
it.
So when my son, he just didn't like. I think he wasn't because the divorce was new, and the person remains nameless. I think she had said things as well, but it is introducing your child, but introducing is a big thing. I think. You have to be mindful of it. You have to know where your child is. You have to know, is this someone you're going to be with for a while?
And it also depends, you would have to agree on what the relationship is. Like I've been very fortunate. My ex-wife and I, you know, we have, I think we have done the damn thing post-divorce about as best as a couple can do it. I appreciate it. So, you know, we are different. What your thing was
tumultuous,
crazy.
It should be
ours was, you know, as you know, we got mutual. You know, we had joint custody, so that's where it's at. We had 50-50 custody. You know, Stacy only lived, you know, a few minutes away, so that really made it a lot better that we could be half there and only live 2 minutes away. But
no, I was with someone I think who was clinically diagnosed, but they haven't been. But
we're gonna find out about a lot of crazy, our own crazy. You might not have some crazy.
I don't have any.
I definitely have some crazy. I think that you might be crazy for thinking that you don't have any crazy.
I keep mine in my head.
But whatever we're going to do, we're going to talk a lot more about this. You're going to hear a lot more about this as we go forward. You know, my therapist is better than your therapist, but anyway, we'll talk about that.
I actually have 3.
Oh, you have 3?
Yeah.
Well, I have a group and a individual.
I have a group.
I like the individual. Yeah, y'all should definitely talk. Talking to people really helps y'all. Don't be too big to ask for help and talk to somebody. But that's another side. But you know what? We are running out of time on this episode. But as you see, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to share.
We definitely.
What are we going to be talking about next? Like, what are some of the things? Like,
definitely. Next show, we're going to talk about divorce. We're going to talk about more about being divorced and dating. We'll talk about dating. Dating at 50 in DC is definitely. Our other topic we'll talk about is why Jason has never seen an episode of Seinfeld or Friends or Curb Your Enthusiasm. And also we're going to talk about why I didn't see Good Times until I was a grown adult.
Now that's crazy, right? Because I'm going to tell you what, I am definitely curious. Carmen, this is one now, he brought this up. Now, Carmen, I just want to know real quick, we got to find out from Carmen, am I the only black person that has not seen Friends or something? Now, Curb, I have heard Curb, I really got to check out. So really, let me separate Curb that you mentioned from Friends, Seinfeld, and The Office.
Oh, I love The Office.
I know you've seen that. The fact that now,
Dunder Mifflin.
Do we know? I don't know any other black person that's seen all these episodes of these things. So now wait a minute. No, first of all, Carmen, we didn't say who Carmen is.
We have to introduce Carmen.
Oh, man.
We keep mentioning her name. Carmen is our residential
expert people person.
She went to an HBCU.
She has her ear to the street. Her father went to an HBCU. She didn't know about.
She went to HBCU. She goes to Howard. Her dad went to HBCU. We're going to find out which school he went to. She has on the sweatshirt, but we can't see.
Right.
So we're going to talk about that.
But she's the real HU.
Yeah, she's the real HU.
Is that Hampton? Oh, no. I'm sorry, Carmen.
Hampton is HI, Hampton Institute.
Oh, that's the institute.
And actually, Hampton is
so you're trying to say the institution.
And actually, Hampton was started for Native Americans. Because they have a Native American burial on their thing.
That's very interesting. See, who knew? But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our kids. We're going to talk about the first things. We're going to talk more about our stuff.
We're going to start people calling in. We'll have questions.
And we'll have Carmen, and as we said, Carmen is going, when we are really wondering what do people think, Carmen is going to be the one who's handling our social media. She will ask the questions. You all will also see her on District Weekly on the Lies versus Laws, which is amazing. So we're going to really be able to pick up on Carmen's ear and feel to street and to the people.
And we will connect our social media so you all can contact us through our social medias and stuff like that.
And we're going to pick up some more places around here. Like, I'm going to put some pictures of my kids here next time. I thought this dog was funny. I don't have a dog. This ain't my dog. But I'm going to have some,
I have a dog.
I definitely felt like we'll start something here. I mean,
maybe I'll bring my dog here one day, which will be completely crazy.
Right.
No, we won't be bringing the dog. All right.
Well, this is a show. We are both members of Cap Alpha Psi. These are noobs. So, canines and dogs. We might, whatever. But, this was fun. I'm looking forward to this, man.
Our first show. I think this is good. So, well, make sure our friends listen. I'm sure my mom and dad are listening.
Absolutely.
They'll call in. We'll definitely block them.
I do want you tonight for homework to practice asking me a question.
I will ask you more questions.
Just look in the mirror, be like, Jay, work on that.
I do monopolize
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's all good.
Great show.
up though. Let's go, pick your feet up though.